Hello, and welcome to this week's edition of Bank Robber and the Bitcoin Guy, where we aim to bring you nothing but the truth. Hey folks, today we're going to go into a discussion about truth and the value of it, and question some things like why is religiousness and legalism more important to a lot of Christians than truth. Hope you enjoy the show.
You know, look, I'm going to make sure that when I release this version on the channel, on the new channel, that I'm going to make sure that there's a banner at the bottom that says that this video is being brought to you by Big Tobacco. Because I want to make sure people know that, you know, yeah, okay, we both smoke. How's that going to change the world in a bad way?
Well, for some people, it would almost mean that we're going to hell.
Yeah, that's okay.
Because we're ruining our bodies in the temple of the Holy Spirit. Meanwhile, they're just, eating how many Big Macs a week. But
well, the good news
which does far more damage than a little bit of tobacco ever would. I mean, give me a break.
If we do end up going to hell, at least we'll have a place. We won't ever have to carry a lighter. We will always be able to light our cigars in hell. So that's the good news about it.
But that's the thing. There are no cigars in hell. We don't get we don't get to smoke them.
That's the rough. That's the rub, That's the tough part.
Yeah. So you know what? But that's a good point. Like, for anybody who's going to be watching us, and they'll see us vaping, or see us, or you have a cigarette or whatever, and or having a drink, having a drink of alcohol or something. Listen. If you're a Christian and you're worried about those kind of things, you got problems. And if you believe in a spinning water ball, especially if you believe we came from a monkey, or if you believe that 3 men landed on the moon, actually many more men after them in the other Apollo missions, but if you really believe the men got out in spacesuits and walked around on the moon, well, then I feel bad. I feel bad for you that you value. I value that you don't understand the value of truth enough so that you can finger point about the plank, the specks in people's eyes. Well, you can't remove the plank from your own eye and from your own brain that is preventing you from understanding or wanting and desiring the truth, because that's a problem, right? Like if your Christianity, all it is, well, I never watch an R-rated movie and I don't drink alcohol. But you're always thinking and gossiping and talking about people and stuff like that. You say you believe in Jesus Christ, but you don't believe he can really do anything. You don't really believe he won a victory on the cross. You don't really believe that he's really given us power and gifts. Because your faith is so small, well, then I feel bad for you.
Well, not to change the subject, but to add something here. I just watched a video the other day that said Jesus Christ was a Buddhist monk. I did not know that, and this person on their video was dead serious. So that's a good thing. Mm-hmm. It's always good to know these things. But, right. Getting back to what you said, look, it's very easy for people to confine themselves within the realm of their own existence. In other words, it's easier for them to just simply say, I'm a Christian and I don't do A through Z. And anyone who does, I don't want to be around, or they're going to get burned in hell. And the minute people tell me, for example, a friend of mine told me that so-and-so was going to burn in hell, and he's a Christian. And I said, whoa, stop. You can't say that. You can't. You can't say it about anybody because you've never walked in their shoes. Mm-hmm. You never walked in their shoes. You never were raised with them. You never saw what they went through in life. So this whole Christianity belief where people are instantly ready to tell you that because you're having a cigar or a beer or a glass of wine, you're going to burn in hell. And it's really not up for debate with me, because I don't debate those types of people, because I call them zealots.
But come on, I mean.
But I mean, look, even heroin addicts, you can't say a heroin addict or a severe drug addict like a methamphetamine addict is going to burn in hell. You can't, or a prostitute.
And this is what I'm getting. This is why Jesus is so unfair and such a terrible king and savior, because, he tricked us in a way into going for alcohol when his first miracle was actually turning water into wine. And, he's just so tricky like that. And the fact that he would kind of tempt us to think that wine was okay, but it's really not okay. Oh, man. What a Lord.
Well, now, listen.
People really believe in this kind of Jesus. You know what I'm saying? Like, that he is going to strike you down because you had cigarettes. You're not going to get into the kingdom. Whereas, like, but you can just believe in anything. You can believe in war. That's cool. You can cheer every time, we kill a million Muslims over the Middle East. Right now, as we speak, there's probably drone bombs being dropped on an innocent family. These are facts. You can like look this up. But you got to go behind CNN and Fox and all that.
And let's go a little further. Right now, there's information being thrown out within different interdepartment agencies and agencies themselves, with the alphabet agencies, where they're literally exposing people who have risked their lives, quote unquote, for our country, wherein those people will now be known and vulnerable. And these agencies, a lot of times, do not come through with what they promised these poor people who put their lives on the line, quote unquote, to defend America, and they end up getting slaughtered by their own people.
Yeah, so, what a joke. It's just like that.
I'm not talking about one guy.
Right.
I'm talking about an entire family.
Right.
And people say, oh, that's not true, or, that's the cost of war, and look, this for me, this podcast isn't just about, quote unquote, being Christian. It's about the reality of the world, although I happen to be a Christian.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people, Christians and other people, refuse to acknowledge the actual truth of what is really going on in the world.
Right.
Now, it's convenient to say, oh, I believe in the moon landing. I believe that the earth is a globe. I believe that all flat earthers are out of their minds. It's very easy to say it. But when you're all alone, all by yourself, and you're thinking to yourself, why are you saying it? Why, if you're saying something without truly delving into it, then you're really just being a hypocrite.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah.
And it's the same thing with the drug epidemic, the war on drugs. There's no war on drugs. There's no war on drugs. People are not going to stop doing heavy drugs. It's never going to stop. It's just never going to stop. And people need to acknowledge that. So we go through one thing after another, but the imperialistic nature of the United States, and this is a point I wanted to make to you about another time we spoke, is that, just because you have a country that you go to that is not, quote unquote, like the United States in its imperial endeavors, or England, who is also imperialistic. Some could even argue that Russia is imperialistic in the way that they view colonization of the world. But then, of course, you have these countries who we consider in America to be nothing more than third world, because of the high corruption or whatever. And then you have a lot of wonderful people in those countries who are basically peasants or just hardworking people who have they come from a culture of being very respectful and very nice. Like, for example, most of the Mexican people I've met are very respectful. Most of the Argentinians, the Colombians, the Russian people that I've met, Norwegians that I've met have been very respectful people.
For the most part, maybe like the Dutch aren't very respectful. I don't know.
Well, the Dutch don't get any play here. So we don't talk about the Dutch. In fact, nobody really does. Nobody likes their language, including
Nobody
the
cares.
Germans. Nobody cares. So, dun-dun-dun. Oh, by the way, remind me to send you the bill for the new drum set. So,
okay. Check is in the mail.
When you look at imperialism and you look at going to a country that is free, quote unquote, of imperialism, such as leaving the United States to go to live in, let's just say, for argument's sakes, Argentina.
Okay.
Okay.
Right.
Argentina is a great place to live, but you cannot be a political enemy of the state in almost any country you go to.
Mm-hmm.
That's a fact. It's not supposition. It's not theory. It's not based on the latest YouTube video. It's my understanding of the world from what I've experienced in the past. You cannot go and start talking about governments in other countries. Now, America, quote unquote, we're free.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You have a choice.
Quote unquote free. I would not say we're free at all.
So let me hear your response to what I just said. You have 10 seconds to respond. 8.
I don't feel like it. I don't feel like answering that. I was going to, I agree with pretty much everything you said. So I don't know if I have too much to add to that.
Well,
did you think I'd disagree with something?
My theory about my theory or my observations about human beings in general, and yes, I'm being judgmental,
mm-hmm.
because that's what I do. I judge everybody I see based on whether or not I want to invite them in my house or have a cup of coffee with them or walk them. Oh, everybody makes judgments. Everybody. But I admit it.
You make more than most.
Am I damning them to hell? No, not it at all. Look, the bottom line for me is very simple. I really feel that individually, one-on-one, if we're talking to one person we meet on the street, we can have a conversation pretty much about anything. But when people start to surround themselves with their social circle, their friends, or who they think they belong to, they start to put defenses up because they want to protect that group or that social circle.
Mm-hmm.
And if you were to go down the street and tell your neighbors and knock on your doors, let's say they all know you in the neighborhood, a small neighborhood, and you knocked on the doors and tell them, "Hey guys, I just discovered that the Earth is flat."
Right.
They're gonna, 90% of them, 80% of them are. I'm just guessing.
They're gonna think it's a joke.
They're gonna think, they're gonna think that what have you been drinking or smoking, and then they're going to talk about you, and and you can say, "Hey, listen, I want you to watch this video that I saw. I want to show you the evidence that the curvature of the Earth cannot be proven."
Right.
There's a really good chance that they're just gonna shush you.
No interest.
I don't know.
Yeah, because
push you away because
the brainwashing's
why?
Been so strong. The brainwashing's been so strong on these people, and it was on us too. But here's the difference is, like, I've always been, and I'm not patting myself on the back for this. I've always been a truth seeker. Always. I've always read literature that had to do with traveling and discovery, and I loved, one of my favorite novelists was Thomas Wolfe, who wrote Of Time and the River, one of my favorite books. And I don't know if I'd read Thomas Wolfe today, and this isn't the modern Thomas Wolfe. This is the 18th century Thomas Wolfe. But I just think that just like I was very interested in truth, in why we're here, existence, all these questions. So I think for people who still have that natural those questions, and that are seeking, God never leaves you hanging. He will always bring the truth in front of you at some point or points in your life, and then it's up to you to respond to it. And sometimes it takes a long time. God might be after you for a long time, sending you a lot of clues of what the actual truth is, and but there's a lot of people out there, they just don't seem very interested in truth or anything else. Or it's like they'd rather have the truth over a lie until you say, well, let me show you something that you've been lied to about all your life. This is the most liberating thing ever. That's the way I felt about flat earth, right? I thought I started to tell some Christian friends and stuff like about it. I was so excited. I was like, let me ask you, did you hear about this? You must have, right? Because I know you value truth. I know you're somebody who loves the truth as much as I do. I've seen you in church. I've seen you praise God. I've heard you talk about the Lord, right? So obviously they're like me. But then you find out they're not like you. They're not like you. They don't value truth. They never really value truth. No matter what you tell them, no matter how much you show them in the scriptures that killing is wrong. So a lot of times these people won't only believe in the globe. They believe in war. They believe in killing, like preemptive strikes. They believe in, what do they call that? The casualties that you have on collateral damage.
Right.
Thank you. Collateral damage. They believe in all these things. But yeah, they're the ones that are going to tell you, how dare you have a beer? Or they're going to like really judge you like, wow, that Christian's really walking some fine line right there. Because that guy, that's having that beer. He's this close to being in deep, dark sin. It's like, oh, really? You people are like what Paul said. You just drink milk. You're in need of milk. You've been a Christian for 10, 15, 20 years, and you still are, sucking on the milk. You can't take a piece of meat. You can't handle real protein. You can't handle truth. You don't want the truth.
Look, human beings in general, and this is sociologically true, from a sociological standpoint, not just a psychological standpoint, but human beings like to gather in herds, and they like to feel comfortable in their environment. And it's also why
I like that too. I like to be comfortable in my environment.
Right. But there's also people who grow up in, war zones, like impoverished neighborhoods, let's just say in the United States, in the ghettos of the United States, the inner city ghettos. And they don't want to leave. They literally, their excuse is, well, that's where my family is, so they don't leave. But change and accepting change, or let's just say truth, is extremely difficult for most people to deal with. It just is. Because from the time we're 4 or 5 years old, 3 years old actually, we're programmed to believe whatever our mother and father say as being gospel, and many people who were raised in churches have grown up to reject those teachings because of the hypocrisy that they witnessed throughout their lives.
Right.
So you can't be telling somebody, do as I say and not as I do. So there's a lot of different issues there. But as far as accepting quote unquote conspiracies, look, I was a little kid. I was 7 years old when the moon landing occurred. I watched it on TV with my family, as everyone else did who was around at that time. And even in my bedroom in the 70s, I had my entire wall had a print of a quote-unquote moon landing photo. My entire wall was one entire moon landing photo, which was about 12 feet long.
My goodness.
Oh, yeah, I had everything. I had I knew more about space by the time I was 13 years old than Neil deGrasse Tyson did. I can guarantee you
that. It's funny how many flat earthers have a similar story about being such NASA fanboys at one point. Yeah, but go on. I'm sorry.
Oh, well, listen, I used to sit down and design, do my own testing of rockets and in the backyard and everything else. And I did all this stuff.
I had rocket models and stuff too. Yep.
Even my doctor who took his wife on vacation to Houston.
Yeah. So he could
go to the Air and Space Museum. It's just, it's hard to imagine, but when your life is based around a core belief for example, let's just keep it real that the earth is round, because we all know it's not flat.
Please always keep it real.
Always keep it real. And that space is real, despite the incredible vacuum of space that could suck the atmosphere off the planet. You know, point, counterpoint. We have to be willing to delve into the science behind things. Look, science is supposed to do what? It's supposed to do a couple of different things. It's supposed to be provable again and again and again and again.
That's the way, right? Exactly.
And observable again and again and again. And, you know, I understand why somebody who is a anti-conspiracy person, you know, will say, oh, it's a bunch of hogwash.
Right.
You know, and if you happen to catch the wrong, quote unquote, conspiracy theorist guy on a video, you know, he may come across as a nut. A straight up freaking crazy. I've watched many of these conspiracy guys and I thought, you're doing more damage to flat Earth and the moon landing and 9/11.
Yeah.
You're actually helping them. And then other conspiracy theorists will say, oh, well, those people are purposely put there to bring it down, to
right.
debunk it in some sort of an awkward way. A disinformation campaign, basically.
But there are guys that like first impressions mean something, right? So like I'm sure when somebody sees me and so I have a headband on or something, they're gonna be like, this guy's a hippie or he's a, you know, I get that, and like I'm comfortable with that. I don't care what people think of me on the outside, like, you know. I don't really care. I don't want to ever be a slob. I don't want to smell, you know, these kind of things.
Oh, that's going to be a problem man, if we ever get together, because I smell horrible.
Oh man.
Yeah, I only take one bath a month.
Oh, the crypt keeper. All right.
I was taught that as a child, so I'm not going to stop believing it, Don. I can't stop believing what I was taught. I just won't do it. One bath a month is not even good for you. They say.
Oh man, terrible.
No, there's an article from 1493. There's an article from 1493 that clearly states that what I'm saying is right.
1493.
Well, that's when they really knew about things, bro. And that's what my mother taught me when I was a kid.
My goodness. Where was I? Now you just threw me off.
I don't know.
Well,
I don't know. I went off. You're going to have to get a secretary to keep.
No kidding.
Keep
My goodness. Well,
maybe a press agent or somebody standing next to you.
I forgot what we were talking about. It's crazy.
I'm sorry.
It's all right. You don't even remember either because you were just so interested in butting in.
No, but I do expect you to stay on point, and you know.
Well, that's why this is why I have this. I actually have started to do papers, but we said we're just going to freewheel it today.
Well, no, we can't. We can do that anytime you want, but all of my notes are up here.
Oh right, yeah, you're doing a good job because.
Well, I've got 6 notes, and so far I can only find one. But yeah, I'm working on it.
But, you know, it's interesting. We were talking about how, like, you know, like people believe that, like, piety is, like, the ultimate, like, godliness or something. But, like, Paul talks about, like, you know, like having a form of godliness but denying its power. And, like, I always think about, like, there's so many, like, and I hate to I would like pick on Christians. I'm not a perfect Christian at all, and I'm not saying all Christians should drink or smoke or whatever. Look, this is like
not until they're at least 12.
Yeah, I mean, I don't eat much fast food at all. Once in a while, I'll have it, but you know, this is my belief. I want to take care of my body, right? But you know, other things are pretty crazy. You know, the way people are judging things these days. And this is what, I'm going back to this, but like I just can't get my head around people who who claim to be Christians. We should be the ultimate truth seekers. We should always want the ultimate truths in life. And when you're a claim to be a Christian, and you talk about Jesus all out of this side of your mouth, but out of this side of your mouth, you're talking about all the systems of man. All the systems of man, starting with the government, then the scientists, the school teachers. These are all, like, if you know like what Forrest and I know about, like what these systems are, who these people are, you know, and that's like, if you know just a couple, quote unquote, conspiracy theories, I call them truths, these are just truths now, they're not conspiracies, then you're going to know that all of those systems, the government, the school system, it's all been so infiltrated by like Luciferian secret society people, Freemasons, Illuminati, whatever you want to call them, Knights of Malta, even Knights of Columbus. These are all related, right? At the heart of it, you know, I believe from everything I've seen now, is Freemasonry, right? This is occult stuff. It's also related to Kabbalistic practices. They're very, very intertwined. They say that Freemasonry is Goyim Kabbalah, you know? So that's basically all it is. But, you know.
Well, it's also fact, in my opinion, that's an oxymoron, that, you know, most Freemasons who are members or claim to be Freemasons, they don't have a clue what's really going on.
No, most of them don't.
Really don't.
Most of them don't.
They really don't have a clue.
Right.
You know, and it's just like most quote-unquote Catholics, or most Catholics, let's just not quote-unquote them, they have no clue how the actual church is run in Rome, or excuse me, I'm sorry, Vatican City. They have no clue. They have no clue that the Catholic Church owns all of the most impressive telescopes in the entire world. They have no clue, nor do they understand why. You know, the list goes on and on and on. And look, if we go back to the Borgias, you know, killing your enemy, getting rid of people who go against you is common. Quote unquote, well, it's common, but people think, oh, well, that's the way it was 500 years ago. That's the way it was 400 years ago. It's still this way today. You don't want to talk about conspiracies. Someone needs out there who's watching this, and I'm sure that, you know, of the 8 million views we're going to get on this video, that someone can answer me why it is that all of these bodyguards of the Clintons are dead. You know,
it's a hazardous occupation.
It's a hazardous occupation working for the Clintons. It's like, oh, we're going to pay you $1 million a year. I'm like, no.
I heard the workers' comp rates for that particular position are just like, you know, almost unaffordable even for the Clintons.
Salary. Yeah, they're at 79% of the salary. You know, a bridge contractor who works on a 450-foot scaffolding, his workers' comp rates are like 40% of the salary.
I bet you astronaut insurance is a lot cheaper.
Oh, please. Yeah, especially, yeah, well, they've
You never hear about
sure
that. You never heard about astronaut insurance. How much are they paying? Who are they paying? Is our government paying Lloyd's of London for gigantic life insurance policies on these guys when they leave and they die?
No. Well, two things.
Of course, they never die. You know, not going to space.
We're just writing a bond and we're self-insuring. It's all part of the contract, the actor's contract that they have. So I'm sure that, you know, they're all good.
Nasty,
they're good.
Man. Makes me sick.
You know, if one of the overhead lights falls on their head during production, I'm sure that they're covered for that. Or if the blue screen drops in the background or the green screen drops.
Or if they get electrocuted in that pool. You know, because they're down there with all those like contraptions and stuff, and you know, like if they might get electrocuted in that pool one day. I bet you that's the only way astronauts die.
I think one of my favorite things that I've always wondered about, even when I was, you know, a kid, which is, you know, going back 12 years now, is how is it that they have these photographs out in space where they're photographing another satellite in space, or they're photographing the outside of a space station from what appears to be a quarter of a mile away.
Bro, don't you know that all satellites carry a little baby satellite that they launch just to take pictures of it against the Earth backdrop?
You know, it's
come on, bro. That's tech, bro. That's science, bro.
It's all high tech, bro.
Bro, it's just that's science.
They send out a GoPro.
They launched that. They launched a little. It's called a little. It's like a mini. It's a mini-me satellite.
Yeah,
and it floats out, and at just the right moment, it turns on. If it rotates a little bit too far, because sometimes it happens, we have engineered the algorithm to adjust it perfectly so that it focuses the satellite into the frame. We don't release the camera until we have the lighting all right. You know, the sun is in the right place, obviously. Science, bro. It's all this science, bro.
Listen, bro, all those digital signals never being affected by radiation or solar rays or anything else, or the vacuum, or let alone the, okay, I believe you. I believe that space is real, and I believe in Elon Musk.
Oh, he's the best. My hero.
Well, listen, Elon Musk, I'll tell you what, he has got a following, Don. He's got a following. There are people that literally worship the ground he walks on.
Bigger than Trump's. Probably bigger than Trump. How many million Twitter followers do you think he has?
I don't know.
We'll put him up against Trump.
Are you looking it up, or should I look it up?
Hang on. I'm looking it up.
All right. How many Twitter followers does Elon Musk have? I already found it.
You do? You have? I mean,
22.2 million followers.
Okay, and Trump, I think, has more than. But Trump's, like, they're close. That's 22 million. That's a lot of people to have following you. I think when I first got into the election, I think in 2016, I think Trump had like 17 million. I'm sure it's a lot more now. The real Donald Trump. The real.
Wow. Yeah, okay, that's debatable. The real Donald Trump. Which one's who?
No, what's his Twitter? Real Donald, right? There it is. Real Donald Trump. Okay. So of course he ballooned up so much since being president. Over 64 million. So he's like three times Elon Musk.
But I will say this much. I'd say about 35 million of those are Mexican citizens. When is he going to build the wall? That's what I want to know. This is what's on the mind of every Mexican. Like
I told you, that wall is not to keep Mexicans out. It's to keep Americans in. And that is the fact, Jack. They don't want it. Mexicans, give me a break. These people are the least of our problems. And who the hell's going to cook the meals? Who's going to clean your rooms at the hotel? Who's going to wash the dishes at the restaurant that you eat at 5 days a week? Those are Mexicans. They're hardworking, good people. They are not here to terrorize our country. They're here to do the jobs that nobody wants, and then hopefully go live a nice life for themselves south of the border in a country that is actually really friendly. It seems like the people have a clue what's going on down there. All the propaganda that this country sends against Mexico as being so evil, so dangerous, so filled with drug lords is not even 1% true. I'm not saying people never get killed there or anything, but you could go to Detroit, and if you get around on the wrong side of the drug dealers there, you're going to end up on the wrong end of a gun too. So, this is just what it is. And Mexico has only been a great place. I don't know how we tangent into Mexico, but I just talking about Trump versus Elon Musk and these Twitter followers and stuff. But yeah, I'm sorry I went on that tangent. I just had to get that off my chest.
I'm glad you did. Are you ready for me to give you a really difficult question? Short answers?
Go for it, man.
Okay, Don, what are the top 5 conspiracy theories out there, just off the top of your head? You don't have to name all 5 of them. Just give me one at a time. You don't have to go into them. Just give me one at a time.
I would say it's got to be, Flat Earth has got to be in there.
Okay.
9/11.
Right.
Now, this is what people say are conspiracy theories, right? It's not commonly accepted as truth, even though we know it's true.
Okay. What is the oldest conspiracy theory that you know of?
Oh, man. You're putting me on the spot here.
1960s.
Oh, JFK.
JFK
is definitely one of them, yeah, of course.
Okay.
What about a newer conspiracy theory, geoengineering?
Okay, geoengineering.
Is the government controlling the weather kind of thing?
Right.
Is the military-industrial complex steering these storms to destroy, to profit off basically storms, just the way they profit off war?
Right.
I've only looked into that a little bit, but there's some credibility to it.
I'm going to stop you right there for a second.
I think I got 4, right?
You got 4. So
I'm going to get another one.
Oh, there is another one called Jesus was a Buddhist monk. That's a conspiracy theory.
Oh boy.
Uh,
Aliens.
Anyone out there who's
UFOs.
listening, if you know
that's
of a
a conspiracy.
conspiracy theory, drop us a line. So that's easy to do. Look, we're not going to touch everything in this video, that's for sure. But we just want to introduce, what's going on. I want to introduce this because I also have a YouTube channel called the Conspiracy Channel, which you're now watching on my channel.
Oh my! So, how much am I getting paid for this channel? I didn't get a check from this one yet. Now you're starting another one already?
I pay in peeps. Those little marshmallow treats.
So good for you.
Oh well, listen. They say that it's like if you're going to outer space, you've got to take a peep with you.
But I'm bummed. Need my drum set.
The good news is that all these multimillionaires who have bought tickets to go out into space, yeah, they're still waiting.
It's an investment, brah. You got to wait for the science is almost there, bro.
I think when you get to be a mega wealthy individual at some point in time, you could look at your checking account every day and it's never going to be negative.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what you spend. It's always just going to keep going up.
Even
if
you were the most degenerate gambler in the world, like you just can't ever spend it all. You can't. That must be a weird feeling of having so much money that you can't ever possibly spend it all. You can never eat so much. You can never see so much. You can never have sex as much. You can never. You can only do so much with one body and one life. So like these guys can do it all. They can even waste wads of it, like throw millions of dollars. When you have millions of dollars, you can literally throw millions of dollars around a day and never run out.
Right.
Or hundreds of thousands or whatever. Like it'd be a lot of money.
I think after a while, it just, when you have that much money, it must just come down to it just has no other meaning for you other than just pure unadulterated. I can do whatever the heck I want, including lose a couple of $1 million. There's a billionaire from Australia that goes to Vegas all the time. You probably sat right next to him when you go to Vegas, Don.
I'm sure.
He sits at a table.
Mm-hmm.
This is fact, everybody. He bets $1 million a hand.
Oh yeah, that's my table. You got it.
Well, I figured it. Well, I'm at the $500,000 table, but I just thought I would mention that there's a billionaire in Vegas that literally, and sometimes the bet, he'll double and triple and quadruple the bet up to $10 million a hand, and they take his money all day long.
Sure, why wouldn't they?
And he doesn't care
because he's laundering it. That's what he's doing in the
exactly.
casino.
And you would.
He's
think
laundering
so.
money, and if he loses, 10% of it, like through bad gambling, it's not a big deal.
Well, listen, I saw an interview with Bruce Willis from about 20 years ago. He was on Late Night with David Letterman, back when I used to like David Letterman. So Bruce Willis went to a casino and dropped $250,000. He lost it.
Mm-hmm.
And he was upset. He said it bugged him every day.
Oh, sure. Nobody likes to lose. Doesn't matter how much money you have.
But it just goes to show. Well, it just goes to show you that you lose $250,000 and you're a big Hollywood actor. It still hurts.
Oh, yeah.
And Kevin Bacon lost all of that money with that horrible guy. What's his name? That Jewish guy. What's his name?
Madoff.
Bernie Madoff.
Bernie made off with the money.
Bernie made off.
A lot of people think
money.
he's a psyop. That's one for your conspiracy theory. That's a sort of that's one on the fringe a little bit. But
the Bernie Madoff.
Yeah, I mean, look, you have to consider, because most news seems made up. You have to consider even the fact, like, look, you know me. I don't know how you feel exactly about all the hoax. I call them hoax shootings. Some people think they're false flags. I think they're hoaxes. I don't want to get into big arguments about it. The fact is these events aren't happening the way they're telling us they're happening. I believe that they're hoaxes. I believe there's strong evidence for that. We'll talk about that on the show. But at times, because they're going to just keep happening. And then once in a while, I'm going to do videos where I overlay myself, like talking about like the interviews with the family and point out the fact that they never cry and all of that. Because That's where you really need the video to look at and say, oh, these people they're lying. They're friggin' liars. Like it's a joke. And
yeah, a lot of them suffer from what's called duper's delight.
Duper's delight. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Which is extremely interesting, because until it was pointed out to me, wow. And listen, are there real tragedies that go on around the world and in the United States? Of course there are. Absolutely. Every day, even probably right now as we're recording, there's probably 30 of them. Someone's losing a family member to violence, to this, that, or the other thing. Human nature's not going to change. But I'm hoping that Don and I are maybe awakening something in you, or fortifying something in you, to continue to be strong enough to have the courage to either investigate the truth or to acknowledge what you do know as the truth, and don't be afraid to talk about it. To me, look, the truth will set you free.
It does.
And I know that's scriptural and it's biblical.
That's the truth.
But
it's such a cliche, like, quote scripture that people throw around. But
it is cliche
until you get it, until you really see like more. And I don't even claim to have understood the whole thing, but until you really see what Jesus was talking about, like a deeper glimpse into it than what you'll get at a typical evangelical church or Catholic church on a Sunday, that's when you start to say, whoa, this is so cool. Like Jesus said, we're going to know the truth. It's going to make us free. We know the truth. We get constantly ridiculed, and stuff, but we can wear big smiles on our face and just walk in this like incredible freedom, and even like Forrest, right out of prison, doesn't have much, like here we are, happy as can be. I live in a small little apartment in San Francisco. It's the joy is from knowing the truth.
Okay, look, it's all very true. And to make light of what you just said.
Sorry, I got so excited.
To make light of what you just said, I want to make sure that, as a full disclaimer, Don's small apartment is 33,000 square feet. So let's just, and right now he's talking to you on a stage set to make
it's
it look
small
like
for me, man.
Apartment.
I'm a big guy. I need room.
You know what? Look, and as far as me being out of prison, yes, it's a miracle that I'm out. The system did not want me out at all.
Crazy.
They just didn't, because look, people will say, well, blah blah blah. What the truth of the matter is that typically when they prosecutors and quote unquote the police, and then of course the judge sentences you, they don't want to turn that key the other way. They really don't. They don't want to hear it. They don't want to hear that you were wrongfully convicted of something. They don't want to hear it. I was very fortunate, extremely fortunate, to get out of prison. Most people that I've met in prison, in my opinion, 99%, let's just say, or higher, that I've met were guilty as sin of what they did. Guilty, guilty, guilty. And not most prisoners have no remorse for what they did. They say they do, but they don't.
And hold that thought for 1 second, but let me just interject here for anybody who might be listening for the first time or second time or something. If you want to hear Forrest's prison testimony and how he went to prison and why he went to prison and everything, how he lost his legs, you can go on our Bank Robber and the Bitcoin Guy podcast. It's available on most platforms and on YouTube and just as a podcast. And you can listen to the whole thing. It's over the course of a couple episodes, and his drug addiction and things like that. I know a lot of people out there have drug issues. I have close family members that has a bad drug issue. It's very disturbing. And, that's something, at times we'll talk about or anything. But yeah, we if you wanted a reference point of what we're talking about here, as far as talking about prison and stuff, then go back there. Anyway, sorry.
I'll put links for the podcast and the the other video in the description.
Yeah.
As well.
It's just the first couple
Also,
episodes of the Bank Robber and the Bitcoin Guy podcast is.
In fact, at the end of this trailer, I'll put the other video if you want to watch my video. I hope you don't, because I really it's not good. It's really horrible. So don't watch it. See how the truth will get you?
It's a very interesting story for sure. And
yeah, well, listen, it was written by some kid down the street that I paid to write it for me. So the best I could do, I make up this crap as I go along. And I just want people to know I am not real. I am not even remotely real. Everything I say is a complete lie. So don't believe me.
Oh, stop.
It's your best bet not to believe a word I say.
Why are you saying that?
Because there might be 4 or 5 people out there who understand very dry humor.
That's very dry, man.
And the irony of it is that, unfortunately, everything I'm saying is true. That's the irony. That's what's so sad about it. I'm very fortunate that I've overcome so much in life in such a short period of time, relatively speaking. I mean, listen, not a day goes by that I don't thank my lucky stars. It's like unbelievable, ridiculous, my life. So yeah, enjoy your 33,000 square feet, Don.
Okay, I'll try. I've only explored about 18,000 of it.
6 bowling alleys, people. 6 bowling alleys, which is like utterly ridiculous.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, most people could only use 2. He's got 6. Tell him the truth, Don. Tell him how big your apartment is.
It's actually only 31,000 square feet, so, you're off. You must have misheard me when I first told you, when I was first bragging about it.
He forgot to mention the 6,000 square foot garage that houses his vehicles. All right, so that's fine. That's fine.
Has your humor always been very dry?
I've always had a dry sense of humor. Yes, I have, but I've got to be careful because most people just literally run away because they don't understand it. And it's funny. I met a lady the other day who actually understood it, and now she's serving me a restraining order. So I thought things were going well.
But that's a thing, though. Like, I know certain things, like you can find funny, other people won't find funny. I know certain things I find funny, a lot of people don't find funny. I can't watch like an Adam Sandler movie and have a great time.
Really?
I mean, I can't. I don't like the guy.
You don't like Jack and Jill? That's my favorite Adam Sandler movie where he plays himself as a woman.
No, never saw it.
Oh,
and I guess I also don't like him.
I'm going to put a video clip in right now. Watch.
Yeah. Well.
5 seconds. There we go.
No.
Well,
I don't have it up.
5-second clip of Jack and Jill is done now. Okay, go ahead, Don.
All right. No, anyway, but I don't know if you find that kind of stuff funny, then that's cool. I'm okay with that.
It's extremely, when you're watching an Adam Sandler movie, it's extremely helpful to be sleep deprived.
Oh, I see. Yeah, that I was thinking they make it for people who do a lot of drugs or something, but and that's who gets it. That's who laughs at that kind of stuff. But I mean, like, hey, I loved like Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. I thought that was hilarious when I was younger. I liked I mean, I do have a sense of humor, I think. I liked I generally liked, I used to like Curb Your Enthusiasm, that kind of stuff, even like Seinfeld, stuff like that. So Simpsons, But other than that,
Enthusiasm was fantastic.
And I can name some other stuff that I liked. I like Eastbound and Down is one of my favorites on it was an HBO thing about a pro baseball player who's kind of down and out and tries to make a comeback and stuff, and thinks he's better than he is. That to me is really funny.
Listen, there's a lot of wonderful movies out there, and I would recommend for anyone listening, check out Adam Sandler. He really is brilliant. He's made $1 billion being mediocre. He's done very well for himself. And by the way, mediocrity is the
But you just said he's brilliant. You're
I'm not going to help people along here. If you want to learn about Adam Sandler, you've got to learn about him on your own. But it's not like all of us don't have an Adam Sandler teacup in our house. We all do.
Oh my gosh, I can't take the guy at all.
Well, I've got a poster of Adam Sandler in my bedroom.
I don't like him. I don't like Jimmy Fallon. I used to listen to. I used to listen to I used to think that Saturday Night Live, he wasn't bad on that, but then I was like, you know what, this guy's just such a, talk about an Illuminati Freemason kiss ass. This guy was born
wonderful.
to kiss ass. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You see him pandering to everybody. Well, most of these late night hosts, that's all they do is they pander.
They pander to anybody.
They pander to anybody that is,
I hate to say
has a
this,
position of
but if they
power
could-
over themselves.
If they could talk to Jack the Ripper's ghost, they would pander to that too.
Oh, they would pander to anybody that like
Anything.
For $1, for just a shred more of a hair more of fame. They will pander and they will do and say anything. They literally have sold their souls. It's crazy.
No,
and then
I
they
don't-
sit up
I
there
don't
thinking
care
they're
for Jimmy
funny, and
Fallon.
all these people in the audience like, "Durr, that's really funny. Oh,
Well,
it's like
as
talk
long as
about
the
brain dead
listen,
people.
Don, as long as the applause sign is on, they know when to laugh.
Yeah, yeah.
So you have to tell them when to laugh.
Well,
That's
if
the
I
important-
if I went to one of those shows
Tapings?
nowadays, I went to Jimmy Kimmel once.
Sorry.
I was not awake yet when I was at Jimmy Kimmel. I just kind of went along. It's fine, and then we leave, go get some dinner. But if I was on those shows now, I'd probably get thrown out. I'd interrupt the show because I'm not going to sit and listen to bullshit or listen to people blaspheme. You know how many comedy shows I get thrown out of? Lisa won't go to comedy. We get free tickets to improv and stuff. But because I've made, because I've stood up in the middle of, or I've said things to the comedians, and I'm not saying that this is a good thing, but I see them heckling people and they pick on people, and like I got into this once. I went to a thing and the guy tried to pick on me, the guy with the sort of long hair and the beard, and he thought I was an easy mark, and then he was really wrong, and he almost cried that night. This is a local place here in San Francisco. He almost cried because like I turned it around so bad on him during his performance at this bar that he didn't know what to do. He didn't know what to say. So anyway, now I've taken that, because once in a while we'll go to these comedy shows up in Tahoe. They have a comedy club in they have an improv in there. And they get like big names, like guys that are making their living on comedy, probably getting paid pretty good money, travel around the country and stuff. And most of these guys are so friggin' terrible though. Like, I love a good stand-up, a guy who's funny, who can take like a normal subject matter and just make it hilarious,
You mean like Adam Sandler?
Oh, maybe I have no idea. I don't know what Adam Sandler does. I watched 5 minutes of him in my whole life and I couldn't take it anymore.
I'm kidding.
Come on, bro. Don't bring him up anymore. You're giving me nightmares during the day.
Listen. Oh, stop. I'm Adam Sandler.
Please. Oh, just stop. I just can't take him, man. But
my mother went to see Red Fox.
Mm-hmm.
Probably 3 people know who Red Fox is.
I know
anymore.
who Red Fox is. Sanford and Son. He was the best. He was awesome. I used to like that show.
So my mother went to see him at the Latin Casino in New Jersey, which used to be this gigantic nightclub in South Jersey, right outside of Philly. And she came back and she told us this guy has got the worst foul language. His entire act was F this and F that and all sorts of other things. And she went to see other comedians too there, and they've been using this type of X-rated quote unquote comedy for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
So a comedian dropping the F-bomb or saying something derogatory or trying to rip apart an audience member is nothing new. There are comedians that don't go into that ever. They never do it because they're better than that. They're better than that. And Chris Tucker, the guy that played in with Jackie Chan.
Black guy, yeah.
Yeah, he will not curse. He does not blaspheme or curse. He's a Christian.
Good.
And he won't do it. And he's lost a lot of money in roles for not taking roles for that reason. They don't want him. Oh, you're not willing? We can't have you. So
good.
You can stand up for yourself and still be good. He's a good dude. There's a lot of really good people in the world.
If more people took a stand for these kind of things, people that were raised the right way and didn't cave to all this, then the Satanists could have their own little community and go their own way, and they could say "God damn" as much as they want, and we could enjoy better humor and more quality entertainment. I believe even amongst ourselves, if we lived in a world that refused to do that, But it's just it's unfortunate that there's so much. I know we talked about this last week. It's so much blaspheming that goes on. It just drives me nuts, and it seems like it's gotten like really bad.
Well, if you look at it one way, the way I look at it is a Satanist, and I've known a few of them, by the way, are willing to just say and do anything they feel like and get it out there, and they don't care what you think. And then conversely, you have, again, we're going back to Christians. And by Christians, I mean all Christians who consider themselves to be Christians. Most of them, and I'm not saying all, are scared to death to tell people, shut up. I don't want to hear your garbage. You're insulting me. Don't use that language around me. Don't blaspheme around me. Don't use the Lord's name in vain. They're scared to death of speaking up.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas a Satanist is not afraid at all.
Right.
Because their goal, as the Satanist cabal exists within our government as well, and other governments around the world, is to convert you, to take away your belief in God, to make you believe in and this is the full circle, to make you continually believe in outer space and all that it represents, including this minuscule speck of dust we call Earth that has no significance to life other than the fact that, oops, life just formed. Oops, just happened to happen.
Yeah, it's so utterly ridiculous. But here's the thing: if more of us took a stand and said when we're around, like especially like this country's supposed to have such a legacy of people who were raised Christian. Now, if more people raised their voice and said, "Look, don't talk like that around me, please, or else I'm not going to be able to work here." Now, imagine if every other person that was Christian in that place or raised Christian could at least say, "You know what? I can get behind that guy, what he just said there. Yeah, let's not talk like that here, or let's not use God's name in vain here." Do you think that there would be such a tidal wave of evil in this country if more Christians just stood their ground and actually, like when somebody was saying "goddamn" all over the place, he can actually call them out and say, "Look, just knock that off." That might inspire other people to do the same. It's kind of like flat Earth. I get some people coming up to me and they, or they'll say, "Oh yeah, I'm a flat earther too," or something like that, and you find out. But they don't want to talk about it, and it's like, but the more of us that are open and that, I don't want to say broadcast it necessarily, but are willing to take a stand. Like, I'm not just saying for flat earth, for Jesus Christ, for God, number one, right? Then we have a chance of fighting back and pushing back on the evil that is amongst us and the disrespect and the disgrace. And we're supposed to be a quote-unquote Christian country. That's a joke. Because if we were a quote-unquote Christian country, nobody would tolerate, these endless amount of shows that are just blaspheming God left and right. Not just blaspheming, but like totally like even there's entire shows that are dedicated towards showing like almost like a desecration of God.
Right. They're also dedicated towards shifting someone's core beliefs into believing that extramarital affairs are just something that happen all the time. Cheating happens all the time. This happens all the time.
Right.
Men going to strip clubs.
That's the big one. The cheating. That's what you see everywhere. It's
everywhere.
Really pushed. Like, do your own thing. Do as thou wilt. Right. That's a satanic mantra. Basically, do as thou wilt. And yeah.
Look, I know somebody who is gay, and I told them, look, you can do whatever you want to do.
Right.
I said, the problem I have with you personally is the fact...
Is that you're gay?
No, not that they're gay. Is that...
I'm kidding.
Is that they are promiscuously gay.
Right. Okay.
And it's the same problem I have
Same
with
thing with guys.
heterosexuals that are promiscuous. Because look, if you're in a relationship with somebody, be faithful to them. If you don't like them, then tell them, look, we're done. But don't lie to them and cheat on them, and bring diseases home to them. It just, these are simple facts that people have been doing for a long time, living double lives, or let's just say more than double lives. And if you're in business with somebody, you're supposed to be honest with them.
Mm-hmm.
You're supposed to not steal from your own business or your business partners. If you're in a marriage, you're in a relationship or a girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever it happens to be, or a friendship, you don't stab each other behind their backs. You don't hurt people. If you truly don't like somebody, then stop hanging out with them, and at least have enough courage to tell them, look, I don't think you and I are going to be friends. I don't think you and I are going to be anything. We're done. But most people don't do that. What they do is they just constantly find some sort of back way of dealing with however it is life treats them. And it's all learned behavior. And, coming full circle, when you talk about flat earth, which is the next time we do a podcast, Don, I would like to just completely just focus on about 9 different proofs of flat earth, if that's all right with you.
Yeah.
And we'll just do a flat earth video, and that'll be the first official conspiracy video, counterpoint video for me, from my side. Because my producer is right over my ear telling me that I've got to wrap this up soon.
Okay.
Well, soon enough. But yeah, I've enjoyed this, Don, tremendously.
Yeah.
And I promise you, I will be sending you a check in the mail.
That sounds good, man.
What happened was, let me just, so people out there listening, what happened was I had the checks, but they got wet. So I had to order new ones, and they sent it to the wrong address, and then I had to change my account. So, there's a lot of issues involving writing a check.
Oh, my goodness, boy. You must have been some storyteller back in the day.
No, I've listened to these stories my whole life, and I've heard people bullshit right to my face, and it's like, really, this person's really going to tell this story, and they'll run it. They'll run it all day long if you let them.
Mm.
So
how would you sum up what I guess it's your inaugural issue. I'm just going to put this on Bank Robber and Bitcoin Guy and just let it fly. But no, I mean, I can edit it. I can edit in anything I want in here. I can change your face out. I can do anything I want. Nice. What would you say that the moral of the story is here on this particular episode? We're kind of all over the place there.
No, I mean, I think it's a good introduction for those of you who have never heard of us, and obviously for me, because look, yes, we were all over the place, but that's on purpose tonight. Each podcast in the future that we do, as far as this channel is concerned, my channel will be more focused, like Flat Earth, etc. But Don and I also have a podcast that we do called Bank Robber and the Bitcoin Guy, which I will flash that up on the screen right now. And so, look, if you're into learning about conspiracies, or if it's one of your subjects that you always are going to, the only thing you're going to get from us, and I speak for you now, Don, as well, is you're going to get our truthful belief and opinion. Now, there may come a time when one of us or both of us realize, hey, we're wrong about something. Maybe.
Yeah.
It's possible.
So far, it's been a deprogramming process for me.
Yeah, and the same for me. And I'm look, I am the first. I will tell you, I have no problem admitting when I'm wrong about something. So anyone out there who thinks that this is some sort of a we're always right thing, it's not. But are we always right? Yes. That's where you laugh.
Yeah, no, it's funny. I was just like I was like zoning out there, but
yeah,
no, you're right. You're right.
I think you need some Kahlua.
Something, but no,
I think Kahlua has caffeine in it.
I think that I mean, like going back to what we're saying about like truth is like, Bank Robber Bitcoin Guy, that's a Christian podcast. And so like, I don't think there's any point in doing any kind of like work or ministry or anything like that unless we're tying it to, the Christian foundation, the Christ being the chief cornerstone, and that ultimate truth. Because as you'll come to know, we believe what Jesus Christ said and who he said he was. And once you understand what he said and the fact that, that he is either who he said he was, you got to understand who he said he was, or he is a crazy person, a fool, a false teacher, a false prophet. So you either believe that he is who he said he was, and if that's the case, then there's some very, very, very gigantic implications. And, that's where we're at, and that's why we tie everything back, back to Christ, but not in the traditional church way, because we're done with that. I am sick of going to a place where people pretend to be interested in the truth, but they cannot recognize the truth when it smacks them across the face with it like a 2x4.
Right.
I have nothing against these people. I just ask you, please wake up. What's wrong with you? I could ask a lot of questions. Why haven't you really learned anything from the Holy Spirit? Why do you rely so much on one man at your church, let's say, or a couple teachers to teach you everything? Paul said, it's good to have teachers, deacons, and everything, but eventually you got to get off the milk and you have to dig deeper into the truth yourself. And the only way you get there is with the help of the Holy Spirit. How do you get that? You ask God. You should have the indwelling of the Holy Spirit once you're born again. But also, once you accept Christ in your heart, that's automatic. But then you have to pray, and you have to ask for the truth, and you have to ask for wisdom. And it's a process. God doesn't give it to you all at once. Just because you're a quote-unquote Christian doesn't mean that now, everything is... I know that Jesus is the Savior, therefore that's all there is. I'm waiting to die. Come and rapture me, or whatever you would believe in, end times and all this nonsense. You believe Jesus is coming back on a cloud to rescue you from this evil earth. Meanwhile, you've got a refrigerator full of food. You probably ate out like 3 times last week. You went to college. You have so much going for you. You have 2 cars in your driveway. And it's like, but you just can't wait to get rescued out of here. You have it pretty good. So give thanks and seek the truth. And that's what's bothering me about Christians nowadays, is from what I'm seeing, and it's why like guys like us, we get kicked out. I'll get kicked out of a church faster than I'll get kicked out of a comedy club.
It's unfortunately true.
I will. And it's not because I don't want fellowship and I don't want to be around brothers and sisters who also are seeking the truth. Now, Jesus Christ is the ultimate truth. But if you don't grow from there and you don't realize really what you have in Christ, and you don't understand the freedom you have in Christ, and you don't understand the evil that is in this world and the power that we have to rule over, this is not dominionism I'm not talking about, but the power that we have in Christ to make a difference here on this earth, then you're not a Christian that I'm interested in hanging out with. I don't know,
Well, I'm going to say something, speaking to all people, whether you're Christian, Muslim, Jewish, atheist, or whatever you are. Look, I don't hate anybody. I don't hate any groups of people. I love all of my brothers and sisters on this planet, period. I want the best for everybody. I really, truly do. I live my life this way. When I go out and meet somebody in the street, I don't want to harm them in any way. I want to give them a gift of hello, or can I help you, or talk to them for a few minutes, maybe try to make their day, to really focus all of my attention on that one person. But I want to say that as far as the truth is concerned, yes, for me personally, Jesus is the truth, and that's fine for me. But for those of you who are not yet there, I believe, and this is my personal opinion, and there are some scriptures in the Bible that can back this up, but I'm not going to quote them. Few people actually know that I don't like to quote scriptures because I always consider it to be proselytizing, and it's just, for me, it's just not my method of converting people. My method is testimony. And I will tell you this, as an individual who's listening to this right now, just look yourself in the mirror and seek the truth in your life. You always search for the truth. And if you're searching for the truth, it will lead you to somewhere really great and powerful and wonderful. And your eyes will open up and you'll say, wow, I'm free.
Amen. Yeah.
It's as simple as that, is if you just seek the truth. And look, there's a lot of negative things that could be said. There's a lot of positive, a lot of beautiful things in this world that are worth living for.
Mm-hmm.
And, Don, you mentioned something else. You mentioned something, well, people, I've got 2 cars in my house. I don't have this, I don't have that. And people, I know I'm getting off subject a little bit, but be grateful for what you do have, people.
Oh, yeah.
Be grateful that we have the freedom, all of us, to not only do a video, but to be able to watch a video about any subject you want. Because that freedom is a gift. You have free choice. You can choose the truth, or you can choose to ignore it, or you can just simply choose, I don't care. I'm just going to watch my TV. I'm just going to drink my beer, eat my pretzels, have my bowl of ice cream, and go to bed. I don't care. Life is too burdensome for me. I'm just trying to get through every day, and I don't really give a crap about the truth. And I've met a lot of people like that.
That's a sad life, and that's a life I think we've all led at one time or another.
Right. A lot of people I meet on the street, that's what they convey to me, that's their life. And they can be 25 and they can be 85. Believe me, I've met all of them. And it doesn't matter. It's just the way people are. So my advice to anyone out there listening who wants to take it is embrace who you are and be truthful with who you are, and search for the truth in all things. And yes, that means everything from flat earth to finding out whether or not Jesus is the Christ. So that's my word for the day, and I'm done, Don. That's up to you to say goodbye.
Yeah, and I just wanted to just add one thing to the last thing you said is, people are convey this idea that they're tired. They come home, they want their bowl, they want their food, they want their TV show, their bowl of ice cream, go to bed. I got through another day. There was no tragedy in the day or whatever. But, this does go back a lot to the fact of what we're talking about here when we talk about the truth. A lot of this has a lot of economic implications. And if you are very tired and economically worn down, I would say it's one of 2 reasons. Well, it could be that you're just working too hard, you have too many jobs or something like that because you want things. You're not willing to live without certain things, so you're not willing to downscale your life a little bit and be happier and have more time to do a lot more productive things like look into truth. Because if you're working 3 jobs and you don't really have to, you're just trying to get a bigger house or a better vacation, and that's your life, then I just think that the exchange rate that you're getting on your time for a job, it's just not a good exchange rate for your time. And you should be spending your time in things that can free you and things that can maybe educate you in a true way. I'm not saying run off to college. I'm saying educate yourself and learn how to become a computer programmer, learn how to become a graphic designer. Do something more valuable with your time, invest in yourself, and then, it's easier to break out of the paradigm. But a lot of this goes back to what what we were talking about, the truth, right? So we have the truth of Christ. Well, we also have truths of life, which you can be a Muslim and think, oh, well, I've got the truth. I know Allah is, the way, and this is it. But, I believe that, and believe me, there's Muslim flat earthers and all that. Actually, Quran is also a flat earth book, says the earth is flat. But, without I think Forrest was addressing the non-Christian crowd. I'm addressing the Christian crowd when I say that if you think that you are abiding in the truth, if you're abiding in Jesus Christ, if you you really have, Jesus Christ is the ultimate truth, right? So therefore you're doing the right thing. You are on the right track. You are on that narrow path. But are you really? Are you really? Because as Jesus Christ is the way, the truth, and the life, and he is the most important, I think at the very least you're selling yourself short of a more rich and beautiful life of really knowing the truth, the greater truths that Jesus wants to share with you about this earth. And I think if you don't have a hunger and a thirst for truth of this world, like if you're just buying into every world system out there, everything the government tells you, everything a government agency says, you say, well, this one I don't believe, but most of the other ones are good. The CIA, the FBI, NASA, I mean, they're not lying to us. No way, no way. Then you don't get how evil works. You don't get how truth works. And then if you have the Holy Spirit, then I have to ask, what do you get? What truth do you really have? Is Jesus Christ just some crutch that you have? Do you really know who he is? Do you really know that he is the way, the truth, and the life? What do you really know? Are you really even a Christian? These are questions we have to ask. This is why the apostles were saying, examine yourself, basically, he told us to test the spirits, but study to show thyself approved.
True.
Just so many different things. What's the main verse I'm thinking about that is basically like, about your salvation with fear and trembling.
I
it's
don't know.
Peter.
I'll look it up.
Work out your salvation with fear and trembling. Now these are apostles, right? And they're admonishing the first century Christians to work out their salvation, right? So if they had already accepted Christ, why do they need to work out their salvation? That doesn't really make any sense. But this is what we're told when we go to these evangelical churches and everything. Accept Jesus Christ in your heart and you're good to go. There you go. You're on the list. You're getting in. No matter, basically what you do. And I know that Forrest has talked a lot about in the past about like sin and everything. It gets in the way. But I would say that it seems like to me, again, I can't say this for sure, but it seems like me to be a sort of egregious error or possibly a sin to not hunger for the truth and righteousness, And if you're only saying, well, I accepted Jesus, I'm good to go, but like you don't really care about the people that are being slaughtered over in the Middle East at all. You don't ever give them any thought. As a matter of fact, you might think it's a good thing. All this war, all this nonsense, 9/11 just came and went again 18 years later. We still don't have a real investigation, and you don't care. Guys like me, we're conspiracy theorists because you believe the satanic government because you can't recognize truth. Because do you know the truth? So that's what I'm going to leave it at. It's a little bit of a depressing note, but that is something that frustrates me a lot, and because I believe that as Christians we should be leading the charge of truth for everything. Whether it's flat earth, 9/11 truth, hoax shootings, we should all be standing up shoulder to shoulder and saying, we're not going to take this shit. We're not going to listen to these effing lies anymore. Get the fuck out. That's what I want. That's my dream. That Christians can stand shoulder to shoulder because if you believe what God has given us, the Holy Spirit, which Jesus said would be the teacher of all truth, then why don't more of us know the truth? Why can't we stand and say we're not going to take this? Us millions of people Millions. We're talking about a small sect here. We're talking about millions of so-called quote-unquote Christians could stand together and say, no, we're not going to. We see who you are, government. We see who you are. We see these bullshit programs. We see these bullshit military plans. We see that 9/11, you brought those towers down so you could have endless war and endless death and endless war profits. We see the fake money being produced.
And I think you're preaching to the choir here. For people who are watching a video on our podcast or watching a video on a conspiracy channel, you're preaching to the choir. Now, there's going to be people who are new to this, for sure, and that's good.
No, but my point is specifically towards Christians who. No, and no, you've made your point extremely well, is what I'm saying. But if they just are willing to let go of these false beliefs that they have, these false cultural beliefs, I would say, right,
and start really seeking the truth and say, you know what? Yeah, I don't really agree with that. And there's a reason you don't agree with it, because it doesn't ring as truth, because the Holy Spirit is telling you it's not true.
Right.
Well, listen, we all know the truth. We all really do.
Yeah, I know it in here. You know it in here.
You know who the best example of knowing the truth is, Don?
You know it in here.
People out there in the world, kids. Kids always know the truth.
Amazing, right?
They know the truth. You can try to lie to them. They'll look at you like, he's lying to me.
Yeah.
But that kid grows up, and then he starts to believe in all the garbage that he was taught.
Mm-hmm.
And kids are really amazing what kids can do. If you really want to seek the truth, go ask a kid, hey, how do I look today? And they'll tell you, oh, you look ugly. They'll tell you the truth.
My niece has always said, I look fat, hairy, and something else. Oh, man, so funny.
She sounds absolutely adorable. Remind me to send her a check, too.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, for her birthday, of course. I'll get the checkbook out. That's wonderful, though.
When you value the truth, then when you find out like 9/11, the truth of 9/11, well, first you have to value the truth. You have to be willing to put in a tiny bit of time to go do some research, read some books, watch some videos. Look, but this is important stuff. And then you find out that is wrong. Well, then now you can start to turn your energy towards something good. And that's why I'm not just complaining here. I'm saying, please, more of you, especially as Christians who might have stumbled across this podcast, please wake up, because you're not experiencing. I could guarantee it. I mean, you're not experiencing the freedom that like Christians like us would have, in terms of when you know the truth, it truly sets you free, and it enables you to put your energy towards good things, towards being more productive, towards helping people, towards spreading more truth, towards setting people's minds free of all the propaganda and the brainwashing and all the years that you spent in school memorizing stupid things. And it really can set you on a course, I think, towards like your destiny, your calling here on this earth. I think that's why a lot of people are missing their calling, is because they don't value truth, and everything gets discombobulated. Well, how are you supposed to really find what you're supposed to be doing? And I've been guilty of that for most of my life, because I didn't know the truth. And you could point fingers and say, well, it's because of this. And my preacher, well, he claimed to know God, be close to God, but he never got me, and he never presented anything that was really true outside of Jesus Christ. And he said that's all that matters. Well, as that's all that matters, the world goes to hell all around us. People are being murdered. Children are being killed. Palestinian kids are getting shot in the head. And nobody says boo, because they're just waiting to get raptured, to get out of here. Or they're waiting for their tribulation.
Look, my final thought, and this is my final thought, is that,
and I'm done, by the way.
As individuals, whoever you are out there, as an individual, man, woman, young or old, if you just seek the truth in your life and say, well, let me give you an example real quick, and then I'm going to be done, and we're going to close this video down. let's say that you've watched a 9/11 or whatever. You have to ask yourself a simple question. And this is just an example. We're not going to go to 9/11 here. But does it all sound like the truth of what the government is telling us? And the answer, unresounding, most people, over 90% of the people don't believe that what they're telling us is the truth, but they're not willing to go any further than that. It's, well, something, they're holding stuff back from us, but okay, that's fine. But in life, if you just go forward and seek the truth, and if you're the only one in your neighborhood or your family that knows the truth, that's okay. Because it's better to walk in the light of truth, than in the darkness of a lie. And at least when you get up in the morning and go to bed at night, you'll know better who you are as an individual, as a human being, and you'll be able to plan your day better and have a better day and be able to start recognizing the truth. Because it's, unfortunately, you're going to have to deprogram yourself, people, from believing in all this crap and bullshit out there in the world, because there's a lot of it. And listen, this is nothing new. It's just that we have more technology to disseminate this garbage faster than people can even imagine. So we're being inundated in every different thing we do, from radio to television to internet, etc., by what we're supposed to believe to be the truth. Well, you have the power within yourself to search for the truth, and that's what I hope and pray all of you will do. And with that, I'm going to say goodnight to you, Don.
All right, good night to you, and good night to the audience, whoever watched this or listened to this. God bless, and
Yes, God bless all of you.
See you
soon. Thank you, Don.
Okay, thank you.
Have a good night.
Bye-bye.
Have you ever dreamed of going up to outer space? Or maybe meeting other beings from another place? Have you ever wondered what it's like on other planets? Then you watch a science show and come to believe you understand it? You feel empowered by the knowledge and you feel enlightened. Listening to Bill Nye and Neil deGrasse Tyson. But then you wake up and you start to see the obvious. Life is just a lie and this whole world ain't what we thought it was. NASA's missions to the moon were never completed. They just filmed them in a room and people believe it. I used to wonder what it's like to be an astronaut. Now when I see them acting, I can't help but to laugh a lot. They give us cartoons and they claim that we live on a ball. But it's flat and it's not moving or spinning at all. Why you lying to us, man? That's something that we want to know. After that, you're gonna have to pack up all your stuff and go. History has been rewritten by winners of wars. The Jesuit order, Khazars, Freemasons, and more. They pulled the veil over our eyes and it's time to awaken. Through organized indoctrination, our minds have been taken. It's time we take our power back and we rescue our people. The Vatican and the bankers are like Resident Evil. They may have had the greatest plan that was ever concocted, but Illuminati never thought that they'd ever be spotted. They're manufacturing reality all in our heads. They tell you if the earth is flat, then you'll fall off the edge. But if it is a spinning ball, you won't fall off it then. And gravity is our imaginary magic friend. Why is water always flat when unmanipulated? Why are pictures of the earth computer generated? Why you lying to us, man? That's something that we want to know. After that, you're gonna have to pack up all your stuff and go. God is being hidden from us. There is no proof that everything that we see today is the result of the Big Bang, which claims that nothing exploded into everything. That's absolutely absurd. Humans did not evolve over millions of years from ape-like creatures. Where are the countless missing links? Where's a creature that looks like it's in between apes and humans? There aren't any. And gravity is complete nonsense. You aren't stuck to the side of a spinning ball right now that's tilting, wobbling, and flying through outer space at over 500,000 miles per hour. Space doesn't exist. When you look up at the night sky, what you are seeing is the handiwork of our Creator. Stars embedded in the firmament. Planets are called wandering stars because they move differently than the rest of the stars. Earth is not a planet. Earth is a plane, and the planets are just luminaries in the night sky. We aren't floating around in outer space. Earth is a level and motionless plane, and it's covered by a dome. If you take the time to look at all this seriously, you'll see that you are being separated from the creation and therefore separated from our Creator. Praise God.
Dear NASA, it's becoming 100% crystal clear that you and the other space programs that are in operation are connected and are deceiving the entire world. More and more people are waking up every single day, and we're now able to see right through you. But what we really want to know is, why are you lying? And do you really think that you would get away with it? It's time to pack all your stuff and go. Sincerely, the men, women, and children of this earth, our beautiful, beautiful flat earth.
Space may be the final frontier, but it's made in a Hollywood basement. Space may be the final frontier, but it's made in a Hollywood basement. Space may be the final frontier, but it's made in a Hollywood basement. Space may be the final frontier, but it's made in a Hollywood basement.
Houston, we have a problem.